All right, all right. Hey, welcome to the Monster Energy Motocross Nationals 2008, brought to you by CMRC and SPI. We're here with Nick Wey. Nick Wey, factory star. What brings you to Canada?
I've been a big fan of the Canadian Series over the last few years, and I saw this track on TV last year and it looked like a fun track. I was thinking it was maybe a little bit closer to home, but once we got driving, it was a bit of a drive. So, you know, we're here to make the best of it. But obviously, it's going to be great practice to ride against, you know, Canadians' finest outdoor racers to, you know, try to improve my overall standings in the U.S. Series with only 3 rounds to go.
Well, it's cool to know you're not only a star of the sport, you're a big fan of the sport, enthusiast. Really took a lot for you to get in the car, drive 10, 11 hours with some guys to race here. Now, you're used to being in a big semi. You're here with your pickup truck, and I hear it's a borrowed trailer.
Yeah, I borrowed a trailer, found my old canopy tent in the farm, and you know, a couple good friends came with me to, you know, keep me company and help me, and you know, just looking to have a good day. Obviously, have a good time. That's the main goal. But you know, obviously, the racing up here in Canada is very serious, and you know, obviously, we're taking it serious as we can too. You know, obviously, we're bringing a practice bike, but Big Nasty's got this thing tip-top shape, and it's ready to race.
Right on, Nick. Here it's Sunday morning. We're just before your time qualifier. Weather's been a little inconsistent, weird, rain. The guys have been really working on the track. You did one practice this morning. What's your whole thoughts so far of the scene and the track?
Well, I think obviously the track has got a lot of rain on it. It helps that it's so sandy, but you know, a little bit one line right now. And I think if the rain holds off, we're going to have you know, a great racetrack. You know, basically the one line that's getting kind of dried out right now is going to get rough, and then other lines are going to develop. So I think we're going to have a good race today for sure.
Well, the track builders are out there working like crazy between motos, so I think they're going to work really hard to make the track good for you guys. Now, you've been watching a bit of the Canadian Series. Who are the guys that kind of got your attention, that you kind of know their numbers and you know they're pretty quick and you got to watch for them?
Well, obviously, you know, the races that I saw of the Canadian were of last season. I've kind of followed what's going on in the 08 series, and obviously Fasciati's been doing really well. And Dusty Klatt, I'm familiar with him. You know, he raced in the U.S. for the Supercross, so you know, he's a good rider as well. So I'm expecting those two, and possibly Blair Morgan and, you know, Homans and Medaglia, you know, the guys who are from around here, to have a good showing at their home track too.
Nick, how much of an advantage do you think it is for the guys that kind of have been here before and live around here and know the track, compared to you coming here for the first time?
I mean, it's dirt bike racing. It's all relative. I think, you know, I feel pretty comfortable in the sand. These are conditions that I ride in a lot too. So obviously, you know, once the track develops a little bit more lines, they're going to know where to go when there's a bump here or there, because I'm sure it develops in a similar spot every time. But other than that, you know, I think I'll be able to adapt and, you know, adjust my lines as the race goes and the track gets a little rougher. So it should be a good race for all of us today.
Now, this track, I don't know when the last time you got a hole shot in the main event, but I know it's going to be important here. Is it something you've really thought about, getting that hole shot?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, with the start is so sandy, it's kind of a little bit different setup. You know, I kind of raised the start hook up a little bit between practices here, because I practiced some starts before the first practice. I raised the start hook up a little bit so the front's not so low, so they don't get quite as much wheel spin. So, you know, made that adjustment. Other than that, just going to try to get a really strong time qualifying, so I can, you know, get one of the gates toward the inside. That'll be important today too.
How do you learn all about you know, the bike height and stuff? Just from experience, from testing, from mechanics in years past, or is it just something you've always done?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's been a few years now since we've been using a starting device for the front of the bike, and you know, obviously learned a lot from mechanics in the past and teams and things like that. So, you know, just trying to, you know, try to keep that experience in my head, and when I need to adapt to something, then I got that.
What was your motivation for coming to Canada? I know you want to kind of stay sharp for the U.S. Series. It's a weekend off for you in the U.S., but what was the main motivation, and what are you expecting from yourself this weekend?
My main motivation to come up here was basically to have a good time. You know, I've been to these Canadian races a few times before, and I've always had a good time. You know, I love racing. I would have liked it if my dad would have been able to come, but he was he went to Sturgis for the Harley-Davidson rally this week, and he's bummed he couldn't make it because I didn't really have any solid plans to come, so otherwise he probably would have missed it to come here. Because, you know, it brings me back to the roots, you know, like we said earlier, I borrowed this trailer from Josh Woods, but this trailer was kind of mine growing up, and, you know, all the little cabinetry that's not, you know, so pristine my dad made, and I remember where we had all our stuff, so it's kind of bringing back a lot of memories, like loading up the stuff and coming to the track in the truck and trailer. So You know, my biggest goal for the weekend is to have a good time. You know, I brought a couple of my good friends, and just kind of the road trip was a good time, and you know, the track's good, and hopefully the weather holds out, so we're able to have a good race with these, you know, the top Canadians.
That's so cool. Well, I know your mechanic, Big Nasty here. He's your practice mechanic. He's doing a good job. Pan over there. He's looking good. Look at that shirt. That's a borrowed shirt, by the way. And of course, we got Steve Mathis from Racer X, doing so much good things for the sport and cool stuff. That's him there, by the way, in that old Winnipeg Jets hat. That hat is 20 years old. He didn't just buy it new online. It is actually that old. He just kept it fresh. But he's doing a big story here on you and talking about the road trip and little nuances of what it's like to be a privateer again, which is, I think, very cool for Canadian motocross.
No, I think it's good too. You know, Steve had mentioned that, you know, it might be a possibility to do like a story covering this Canadian event, and you know, me being a fan of it, and obviously knowing that there's a lot of folks out here like, you know, Mesley and Beaton, and a lot of folks who are privateers who could use a little bit extra support. If we can get a little bit more publicity for the Canadian Series by coming and possibly help some of these guys who are not quite getting as much support as they'd like, maybe we can help that by getting a little bit more press, then that would be awesome.
Dude, that is so great, Nick, and I know you were hauling butt there the last few laps, really putting it together. I think you, on the bike, you look so confident, and I think, don't you find when you're having fun, the results kind of come easy? When you go to the line and you're all stressed and tense, you're kind of like chasing your tail, but you come in relaxed, calm, I think the results just kind of come to you.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, everyone started racing because it was a good time, and, you know, everything, you get kind of wrapped up in the pressure, and obviously the pressure to do well every weekend, but, you know, to come here and just basically focus on having a good time, and you know, I know it's going to be tough. You know, obviously it's 230 plus 2-minute motos and a rough sand track, so it's going to be excellent conditioning for me to go back into, you know, my main job, which is in the U.S. Series.
Right on. Any parting words you'd like to say to any of the fans out there in U2 land?
No, I appreciate all the help from MDK and KTM, and obviously Tucker, Rocky, and MSR have been behind me 100% for years now, so I'd like to thank them for their continued support, and obviously the gracious welcoming from all the Canadian fans.
There, you heard it here first. Sit back and enjoy.